It can't always be love at first sight. Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 British films that take a while to love. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're taking a look at films that, due to their themes or general style, can be a bit hard to appreciate at first, but when they're given enough time, they're undoubtedly classics.
Our son had an accident and Laura flew to London to see him at 4 o'clock this morning.
I will pray for you.
Number 10, The Devils.
You've been a magician. You've had commerce with devils.
Ken Russell's sexual horror film is a strong critique of organised religion, so it does get pretty heavy. Throw in the fact that it doesn't shy away from disturbing imagery, and you have a difficult watch on your hands. The film was actually banned in several countries at the time of its release, and severely censored in others, so much so that it's still hard to find the original uncut form. With controversial themes and numerous unsettling moments, it's perhaps best seen from behind the sofa, but it's a rewarding experience for those willing to challenge their expectations and beliefs, so long as you have the stomach for it.
So you have one sin at least, the sin of pride.
Number 9, The Prestige.
The secret impresses no one. The trick you use it for is everything.
The Prestige is arguably one of Christopher Nolan's finest films, but it's also extremely divisive and one of his most often overlooked. It's a story about magic and illusion that takes as much pleasure in fooling its audience as it does the characters in the story itself. As a result, it can also leave a viewer feeling fairly perplexed the first time around.
Because no one cares about the man in the box, the man who disappears.
But while the twists and revelations are certainly very important, it's only once they're out of the way that all the film's clever details come fully into view.
How'd you get so famous then, eh?
Magic.
Number 8, The Lobster.
Please take off your trousers and sit on the bed.
Can we not do this today?
The strange offbeat acting, the absurd premise, and the overall style of this unlikely black comedy can leave first-time viewers switching off. But there is much to love in Yorgos Lanthimos's first English language effort, from its merciless satire of modern society and its focus on relationships to the monotone delivery that really does grow on you after a while. Honest.
Now, have you thought of what animal you'd like to be if you end up alone?
Yes, a lobster.
One thing's for sure, you won't have seen another movie like it, which is all the more reason to watch and rewatch. Because once the unique humour clicks in, you'll find yourself laughing in spite of all the bleakness.
It's no coincidence that the targets are shaped like single people and not couples.
Number 7, Hunger.
I have my belief, and in all its simplicity that is the most powerful thing.
A harrowing film if ever there was one. Director Steve McQueen's first feature follows the last few weeks in the life of Bobby Sands, the IRA volunteer who led a hunger strike in 1981 to return political status to Irish Republican prisoners. Due to its theme and context, as well as its overall style and very deliberate pacing, Hunger doesn't exactly lend itself to free and easy escapism. Instead, it asks a lot of its audience.
I suppose the good people on the site think this is great stuff.
The main character only appears about half an hour into the film, and a lot of the scenes play out with zero cuts and limited movement. Nonetheless, it's one of this director's finest works.
God's gonna punish me.
Number 6, The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Say, do one of you guys know how to Madison?
Rocky Horror is quite the spectacle, but to truly understand its charm and fall in love with it like so many have, you kind of need to know all the songs off by heart. Or, better yet, you need to go to the cinema several times over to see it while dressed in drag. Because while still great the first time you watch it on your TV, nothing quite matches being able to sing along to the whole thing while rows upon rows of people do the same, all in full costume. Rocky Horror is more than a film, it's an experience, and it demands time, investment, and dedication.
Oh, I just love success.
Number 5, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
I want to talk about loyalty, Toby.
And we're back to gritty realism, with a very firm bump. Offering a convoluted plot and countless characters to keep track of, the first watch of this critically acclaimed spy thriller is clearly a demanding task. But once the first sitting's out of the way, it's much easier to appreciate Tinker Tailor's subtle beauty and clever twists, as well as the masterful performances from a star-studded cast.
Don't you think it's time to recognize there is as little worth on your side as there is on mine?
From Gary Oldman in one of his finest if more subdued movie roles, to Colin Firth and Tom Hardy, everybody is at the top of their game, and every character is worthy of your suspicion.
Smiley is suspicious, Percy.
Number 4, Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I move for no man. So be it!
The Pythons may be a British institution, but their brand of comedy isn't exactly easy, observational stuff, and it often leaves audiences scratching their heads rather than splitting their sides. But if you can't tune into the humour straight away, a second or third viewing should see you right. The Holy Grail is probably the holy grail of Python hilarity, but don't be downcast if you don't get it instantly.
A 2/3 majority in the case of more
Be quiet! I order you to be quiet!
All right, he think he is.
The absurdity, the songs, the over-the-top antics, and the apparent utter nonsense in almost every scene are all part of its brilliance. Before long, you'll be constantly quoting it along with everyone else.
What's he do? Nibble your bum?
He's got huge, sharp... he can leap about... Look at the bones!
Number 3, In Bruges.
What are you talking about?
Just horse shit.
You from America?
Yeah.
Martin McDonagh has been writing stage plays with enormous success since the 90s, honing his craft as a storyteller. And so, for his first foray into feature-length film, he gave us this delightfully twisted tale of murder, revenge, and friendship. But due to its unusual tone and unique approach, In Bruges sets itself firmly apart from any other British gangster flick you've ever had the pleasure of watching.
Oh my god. You were gonna kill me.
Oh, what? You're gonna kill yourself?
The comedy is much blacker, the characters are much more complex, and the twists are much more brutal. A gun-toting thrill ride it's not, but the genius is in the details.
And he repeats, yes, I am talking to you.
Number 2, Peeping Tom.
What do you think you've spoiled?
Opportunity.
This film pretty much ended Michael Powell's career when it came out, but today it's hailed as one of the greatest and most important horror thrillers ever made. Talk about a slow burner. As it's the story of a filmmaker turned serial killer who used his portable camera to record the last moments of his victims' lives, it's perhaps easy to see why, at the time, Peeping Tom caused quite a stir.
Imagine someone coming towards you.
For today's apparently desensitized viewer, it's probably not quite as shocking, but its stylistic values are clear for any lover of classic cinema.
What am I seeing, Mark?
Number 1, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Hello, Hal, do you read me? Do you read me, Hal?
Kubrick's masterpiece wasn't immediately well received when it was first released in 1968. Maybe it took a while for people to appreciate just how far ahead of the game it was. But soon enough, the late 60s and early 70s film buff saw its merits, and today it's considered by many to be the greatest sci-fi film ever made. However, like most of Kubrick's films, 2001 doesn't really lend itself to a casual viewing, even for contemporary audiences. The unprepared might feel frustrated, even bored, by its cryptic story and long dreamlike sequences. But if you're suitably invested, there's nothing else like it.
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo UK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.